Welcome to the crypto trading channel. My name is Stu. Well, guys, once again, seeing some uncertainty in the markets. So I want to take a look at a few different time frames and different charts, and also something hinting at some potential hidden strength for Bitcoin. Bear with me. I'm a little short of breath. And if I need to mute for a minute to have a coughing fit, I'm still feeling like absolute crap, you guys, but the market won't rest, so neither will I. If you appreciate it, please do me a favor and smash up that like button, my friends. With that, let's hop right into the Bitcoin 4-hour chart. You guys know that, yesterday we did have a nice little rally, especially on the shorter time frames. We were just staircasing very nicely, setting higher highs, confirming higher lows. On the 4-hour, even though we're seeing a little bit of weakness right now, I wouldn't be too surprised to see us end up getting a bit of a rejection here. However, I do want to talk about some signs of strength too. So even if we do end up crashing to the downside here, I shouldn't even say crash, but just seeing a bit of a retracement, understand that with this new structure we have, I pointed out yesterday, we had this high and we have a slightly higher high. Therefore, we have this confirmed higher low at approximately 67.8K. As long as we're staying above that, we still have this structure intact on the micro trend on the 4-hour. But just understand we are getting to some resistance levels, right? Even if we look to the left here, although it's not the main resistance of this range that I'm all too concerned about, it is still a major resistance level. You know, you can see that all throughout here. We have tested this level many times, really even going all the way back here. It's just been a very important level. And the fact that we're testing that level right now and seeing a bit of a bearish divergence on the RSI, right? We are going from overbought territory, signaling a lot of strength and an uptrend. We have currently lost that, so we're actually losing strength here while we trade sideways. So unless we end up just trading sideways for an extended amount of time or whatever, and we get some sort of a reset rather than a price-based correction, more of a time-based correction. But as it looks right now, just be a little bit cautious because there is those little signs of weakness forming on the 4-hour. But that being said, I mean, the main resistance, even if we saw that pullback and did something like this, I think that would be quite natural, actually. That would actually be very healthy price action because we would be, rather than just breaking out, we would actually be coming back and retesting support. So giving some a little more weight to those levels and just a little more trust in the rally as it forms, right? So, and guys, of course, those of you who are interested in just seeing way more examples of how I'm looking at market structure in general, some of my trade setup ideas, how I'm pulling fibs, some of my strategies, warnings, and so on, be sure to scan the QR code on the screen to gain access to my private Telegram. My partners at Blowfin are actually currently also offering this new special promo for new signups for my followers who wish to try trading on Blowfin, as well as gaining free access to try out my VIP Telegram channel. So that's for new members there interested in trying that out. So, but yeah, other than that, guys, just taking a look at it. I mean, you know that I've been saying for quite a while now, I think the main resistance that we need to worry about is the actual trending resistance. Yeah, there's some great volatility in this range over the last few months, but the main resistance that I've been watching ever since setting this low down here, we never did break that 77K. Although, yes, we are starting to get a little bit closer, right? And from there, we'll have to see what happens. Maybe we do end up breaking the downtrend finally after our 6-month downtrend. But, you know, it's just celebrations confirming that the bottom's in. As I've been saying recently, it's just a little bit premature, in my opinion, because as we zoom out, it just gets worse, right? I mean, the 4-hour confirmed trending lower high, right? I mean, yeah, obviously there's been lower highs in this choppy stuff in these smaller ranges. There's been plenty of lower highs that have been broken, but on the actual downtrend, this is the one here at 77K. And obviously we have not broke that yet. On the daily, it's actually about $2,400 higher at 79.4K. And on the weekly, it's way up at 98K. So to actually change the macro structure of this chart, especially on the weekly chart, I mean, Bitcoin needs to do a lot of work, basically. Let's put it that way. There's a ton of work ahead of the bulls if they actually want to turn this back into a bull market. But obviously, there's plenty of opportunities both directions in this market, especially with recently how fundamentals seem to be changing every few hours because people can't make up their minds or tell the truth or whatever. But it is what it is. And we do have this nice structure here. So I just want to zoom out to the weekly here. On the algorithmic chart, I mean, as the title suggests, there's a couple key breakout levels that I'm currently watching, and one would be the weekly downtrends. Now, on the algorithmic scale, that would be this guy right here. So obviously on a regular chart, this will actually look different. I'll take a look at that again as well. But so far, I mean, we're nowhere even near testing that downtrend line. I've seen people reaching for saying that we've broke a downtrend line or whatever, but I just haven't been able to find it in my charts, at least to my back testing criteria. But yeah, basically you can see that anytime in previous market cycles we actually break that downtrend, it has led to a totally new bull market, right? So that's one level that I would be interested in breaking out. I think that would be a huge sign of strength for the market. And then going to my non-algo chart. So this is just the regular weekly chart here, guys. And now this is where it gets interesting, and why I am also saying to be a little bit cautious at these levels on the 4 hours, because look at this on the weekly when I'm looking, and that's a very accurate trend line, just touching exact wicks here. And we are, I mean, we came very close to testing it, but we are basically the top of where we topped out so far. Not only got incredibly close, I mean, let's just see if we adjust this at all. Does it still look fairly even like that? I mean, it looks like a pretty dang accurate trend line. And notice that we basically tested it there. Now, not only did we test that trend line, but also when we look at the resistance just to the left of us, where we had this recent high over here, that horizontal level lines up absolutely perfectly as well, where our weekly candles were opening and closing at that level, basically, where we have since seen our major rejections on the weekly chart, right? So on the diagonal, we are testing resistance. On the horizontal, we are testing resistance. On the 4 hour, we are starting to see that divergence where we're losing a little bit of strength at resistance. And again, even on the 4 hour, that's quite an important level if we're just going for straight up horizontal rejections and bounce points kind of a thing. Very nice line there. And so, there is a lot of potential resistance there. So we just need to give credit where credit is due, and we need to at least respect resistance. I did also promise you some signs of strength. Now, obviously, there's those downtrend lines on the weekly that I want to see broken, in which case those would be huge signs of strength, especially not necessarily if it's just a wick above and then close below. I think that would be a very bad swing fail. We'd be seeing on a horizontal and a diagonal level. That could be a nasty rejection. But if we actually get candle bodies closing above the diagonal trend line, that's where I would start to become a little bit more bullish on the macro shift on the chart. But doesn't mean that we can't still go a little bit lower, right? Because we could always just end up breaking above and then retesting it or whatever, retesting that resistance as support before getting our move. But we're going to have to see what happens, right? But the sign of strength that's already in the market, you guys, is a divergence that I'm picking up on the weekly RSI here. And if I just make a resistance line right where we have basically where we ended up getting this support resist flip, where we kind of ended up topping out on this little dead cat bounce here. The level that the RSI was at when we ended up testing that resistance, we are currently breaking above that, right? So it's a little bit of a divergence, hinting at the fact that we may actually have more strength in the market, even though we're basically trading sideways or even down a little bit. So this could be an early warning sign of strength that we are going to get some sort of a breakout here. So again, I think that would just be additional confluence if we do actually get this weekly candle closing above some of these resistance levels. So I don't want to discredit that. That is great to see. I'm still under the impression that we eventually see lower prices. You guys know I've been talking about 40K since basically October. And my timeline for that is also October, basically a year-long downtrend, just like previous bear markets. But again, obviously, we'll have to see if we end up breaking the downtrend early. I mean, I have no problem switching my bias. That's what we have to do all the time as traders. We can't just marry an idea and be unwilling to change our opinion based on the evidence, right? I mean, being able to react to the charts, way more important than being able to predict the charts, in my opinion. So those are some of the important levels for Bitcoin for me. I was actually mentioning in my Telegram earlier today to watch out for 72K. I had mentioned that this Oracle Pro Plus indicator was showing some resistance. Just basically mentioned that we had resistance upcoming near 72K, and that's exactly where we ended up topping out so far. So yeah, we're just seeing a bit of a shift on the lower time frames as well, right? So on the 4 hour, we're starting to see that divergence, and on the 5 minute, notice that when we got a bullish cross of this indicator, we went for an like after the retest there, went for an absolute moonshot there. Whereas right now we got this bearish cross back here, and we did so far get rejected on that retest. So obviously, if you took a short on that call, just suggesting there's resistance in the area, you should be taking profits or at least partial profits at this point already, because obviously we are getting close to potential support. Obviously, I would love to see this actually flip into a much bigger move to the downside, but I always treat the beginning half of my position basically as more of a scalp. And then if it turns into a swing position from there, risk-free, fantastic, right? But I'm never banking on those home run trades. On Ethereum, I was talking about this yesterday. The fact, once again, just the lower time frames had a beautiful trend to the upside, right? We just kept setting higher highs, confirming higher lows, higher high, confirmed higher low, and so on, right? We never did end up breaking that until earlier today, basically. When we end up breaking that, that's where we're starting to see that weakness, because all of this, that was just chop. Honestly, didn't really matter to me, although this would have been a beautiful setup to short, for example. Came right up to the 886 there. It wasn't actually a STUBER fib setup, although the fibs would have lined up the same, just because we never actually did take out this higher low on the trend until recently, right? So now we have that as a confirmed pivot point. Before, we never really did, although it did play out as such. But the fact that we lost that level, that's just a big sign of weakness. I shouldn't even say a sign of weakness, honestly. To see a pump like this without any sort of correction, it's actually better off that we do go back and retest some support levels, in my opinion, start building some structure in the charts. But just as it stands right now, notice that even since that, we have recently set this low, and we have a lower low currently. So at this point, we actually have a new lower high on this little trend here. I'm actually just going to get rid of this guy and just have it there. So the confirmed pivot is still way up here. So we would still have our potential resistance if we do end up climbing. But if this trend is going to continue aggressively to the downside and bears are going to stay in full control, then I'd be looking for a continuation fib, something like that, just from our new lower high. And obviously, as we set new lower lows, then the fibs will change as the structure does. But so far, it is what it is. I would kind of expect at this point, the fact that we lost the uptrend, it's very possible we go and retest support of that full range. So in that case, if you're looking for more of a long setup, I mean, you could pull a bullish fib from our confirmed bullish pivot down here. I wouldn't really be interested in anything too crazy for the long side until coming back and getting a proper support retest. Guys, I talked about this one in my stream yesterday. I had mentioned, I think we were trading about here somewhere in my stream yesterday. I had mentioned that I was kind of disappointed. I did enter a bit of a scalp position. Well, what I thought was a scalp on this drift coin. It's been very volatile lately. Because there was something like a $250 million network hack or something last week, I think it was. So it's been incredibly volatile, very dangerous to play. It's why I haven't even been sharing these setups in my Telegram, because I just think it's very risky, and people who are a little less confident might accidentally get themselves wrecked on something like this. But I had mentioned on my stream in this general area I was kind of disappointed because I took a long on the coin that I thought was going to be extremely volatile, and Bitcoin and Ethereum took off, and this thing never, and it wasn't doing anything. And then last night it just absolutely took off. It was only a 5x trade, but basically it ended up climbing 70% yesterday. So on 5x, I mean, it was a very nice move. I have actually since locked in my profits. We ended up, I think it was actually down around here. I think I had ended up hitting a target overnight, one of my take profit levels, but it was something like 190% or something like that. So I only had half of my position running. But just since this was looking weak and it's looking like we're going to drop back down to these support levels, I actually ended up closing the rest of it, especially because it was only supposed to be a scalp position and it turned into multiple 100% on only 5x. So I really couldn't ask for much more. But yeah, this thing absolutely crazy volatile right now. Atom was another one. I had mentioned that one of my algo bots ended up taking along, and I was just manually taking control of the position from there, basically moving up my higher lows with the micro trend. And eventually here we ended up breaking it, and I just locked in the rest of my positions because I don't overly trust the bots to not round trip and take a loss. So the few that I still use, as soon as I see them in positions, I actually kind of manually take over. So that was one of those, but I am now out of that position. So I'm actually just going to get rid of that. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys are all not only just surviving, I hope you guys are thriving. It's been crazy volatile lately. If you're reading headlines and trying to trade them, good luck. I mean, it's crazy times right now. I understand that crazy things could happen either direction based on how things go in the world events in the foreseeable future. But I'm more so looking at those announcements as, okay, when is volatility going to pick up? Because obviously those headlines have blindsided a lot of people recently, because as soon as it sounds extremely bearish, all of a sudden the market pumps. It seems like it's going to be extremely bullish, and then all of a sudden, old news and the market dumps, right? So be careful, still trade structure for what it is, in my opinion, but just, if anything, be on the lookout for when those announcements are happening. Just, if anything, to stay out of the market, or just when to update your risk management, or just, use more extreme risk management as things get more volatile, quicker to update positions and stuff like that. But that's the only reason that I look for, when announcements are happening and stuff like that. I never try and trade the direction based on what's being announced. I just know when I want to basically protect myself is what it comes down to. Rather than greed, I more so play the fear side on that. But yeah, guys, I think that's actually, oh, sorry, I just see there is maybe a couple questions here. You think BTC will close near or below 68K by Friday this week? I usually care more about the weekly closes on Sundays. I mean, I know there's the whole CME charts. That's a little bit different. Below 68, maybe. We'll have to see. Where would 68? Oh, basically that 4-hour level I was talking about on the 4-hour current trend. Yeah, we'll have to see, right? On the 4-hour, I still consider that a bullish level until it's broken. Actually, I better be careful, because there is some very I know this is very, very microstructure, you guys, but technically there was a higher low right there. Only because this other wick here was slightly higher, right? So that's a beautiful little liquidity grab. That is me being extremely picky. Obviously a candle close above would be a lot more significant, and I'd have a lot more faith in that actually being a higher high. But it is what it is. The price did go a little bit higher, so I don't want to be completely oblivious to the idea that maybe this support doesn't hold in that case, because technically we lost that level, right? At first I was considering this the level, just since there is that higher wick there that I didn't notice before. It could be a little different, right? honestly, I don't know how much of a difference there is with that little of a oh man, that's such a micro difference there. That being said, let's check that out. Well, I guess that would probably be that 5-minute structure, right? That swing fail on the 5-minute. Yeah, that is a nice swing fail on the 5-minute. I'll give it that. But I would have felt a lot more confident, and I would have actually shorted the shit out of that, um, had we actually broken this higher low on the trend first, right? If we break that level and then get back up to resistance, that's where I really like to short the retest. The fact that we never broke this level here with this push to the downside, that just gives me a little less confidence. But yeah, obviously the swing fail still happened there with that red confirmed candle close below. I mean, if you used your fibs for your invalidations, right? Looking for some sort of a tight stop loss, obviously never came close to the 115 there above 73K. So that would have been a beautiful setup. Honestly, I wasn't watching it. Being I'm not overly watching the charts recently with how sick I've felt. And we also got a blizzard today. And oh yeah, I'm just got other things in my mind right now. But yeah. Anyways, guys, speaking of that, I am thinking I am going to take off because I feel like I'm about to start having a coughing fit. So, anyways, guys, I think that's about all I wanted to go over today. So, one last time, if you did appreciate this market update, especially when I'm feeling so under the weather, please do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't and you want to look at more of charts for what they are rather than trading headlines and hopium and lottery tickets. And just as a reminder, for those of you who are interested and seeing more examples of how I'm looking at market structure and that sort of thing, take advantage of the current promo Blowfin is running for new signups, which is running until April 12th. So scan the QR code there or on the screen here to see more of my thoughts on the market. And with that, I'm out. Stay safe, my friends. Thank you so much for watching once again and bearing with me here. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Peace out.